All right, we are live. We're back with a special end of day post wave report with yours truly, the Algo Capitalist, aka the Vulcan, coming to you live from postwavetrading.com, home of the world famous post wave price trigger reports. Hopefully, everyone had a great weekend, but this is our special panel edition. I got my main peoples with me. Frank could not be here because he's not feeling well. We wish him a speedy recovery, but we do have my man HK Trader William in the house and our moderator of moderators, Cramerica. Welcome, gentlemen, to the program. We was kicking the ballistics off the air, having some good discussion going into what's going on. But before we get into that, let's just touch on what's happening in these markets. As you know, Bitcoin has entered in to the resistance zone that I warned you guys about. I said 50 to 55,000 was going to be the resistance zone. Excuse me. And as we speak, the Bitcoin futures right now have dipped back below 50,000. As a matter of fact, we're at 49,255, which is the low of the night session. So this is the beginning of that I warned you about. What do you think about that, William?
Well, I think a pullback, from July low is decent, and so I expect, we can buy some more on the dip later on. It's expected. I mean, the one up from 29 to 50. Come on, it's time for a pullback. So I think definitely it's a good time to wait for the support zone and then get back in for those who missed the train earlier.
Yeah, I know people are kicking themselves for missing that train too, ain't they?
Oh yeah, I mean, even myself. I mean, I I missed out on theta too. I mean, I'm going on limbs. I missed that, but it's okay. I think overall, I mean, I still have some on my holding. It's just the point that I didn't buy that much. So
Right. So, and you were already pretty much invested anyway. It's not like you didn't have any Satoshis, right?
right, exactly. So I mean, if it's time for pullback, I think it's time to add. That's all it is.
Gotcha. What about you, Cramerica?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. We're looking at a potential buy the dip moment here in the near future. It's, like Will said, we've gone from 29 straight up to 50, with hardly any pullbacks. So we're ready for something.
That is quite the run, quite the pullback, is it not, gentlemen? I tell you what, though, here's the thing that people need to keep aware of. Like William just finished saying, we just ran from 29,000 up to this 50 zone, right? Now, we have not had a decent pullback from the corrective bounce. So the word of caution is if you have missed this run, you now are at a danger zone because you're entering the market at this high resistance zone. So if you start accumulating now, you run the higher degree of risk of pullback. On the flip side of this coin, if you say, okay, I'm going to wait for a pullback and then I'm going to go ahead and get in here, you don't know if the pullback is going to continue and stretch to a full blown correction off this rally. So you put yourself at a kind of a disadvantage in a way because you don't know how severe the pullback will be. Will it become a full blown correction or not? And that is a risk, that is a chance that we take when we enter into these markets. We don't enter in foolishly. We know that anytime you get in, it's possible you may be getting in at the wrong moment and you've missed your moment. We already know that. That's why we get into these markets because of the potential to be very right, but also the potential to be very, very wrong. So then the next question is this. We were just talking before we, got on air about the markets ignoring the pandemic news. We've been hearing about, the Delta variant, the Theta variant, all these new variants and new cases And the market seems to be shrugging this information off. It seems to be ignoring the information. The market is saying, I don't care about the coronavirus right now. I care about profits. And we've seen a lot of sectors go up rather significantly, but commodities have not really rallied. It's been the contrary. Do you think that's because of the strengthening dollar, or do you think there are other factors involved? Case in point, gold rallied today, right? But all it did is technically bounce off of the low point from last week, along with silver. Up until this point, we've been seeing a depressed precious metals market. Likewise, soybeans had that incredible run, the grains did, but then they had the incredible pullback. Or should I say correction, really, not pullback, correction. So where does that put us, you think, when you take a look at what bonds have been doing, what the dollar's been doing, versus what your precious metals have been doing? Because it seems that cash is king once again, and that people are looking at the fiat and saying, I don't need gold. There is no inflation story. Let's sell our gold. Let's sell silver. What do you think about that, William?
Well, obviously, the dollar index is really this month create all the noises, not just in commodities, but on the FX as well. So there, I would say fake bonusness, creating all this mispricing across the board. Even on a 10-year use. I mean, it hasn't been jumping, some money pocket into T-bills. So I think most likely that scenario is temporary, and then when the end games comes, the commodities, even the precious metals, will run back up, along with the general markets. Okay.
You agree with that, Cramerica?
Yeah. I'm looking at the DXY right now, and really, this whole last month kind of just looks like a technical bounce in a downtrend to me. I think that, and now I'm not a expert trader or anything like that, but that's just what it looks like to me looking at the chart.
Okay, well, let's see if I can pull that up, and we can take a look at the U.S. dollar real quick and just see exactly where it fits into today's discussion. Let's see if I can get that out. I've been having issues loading my charts, so let's see if I can get this one to come up.
It's really disrupting everything.
It is on this disruption kick. All right, here we go. I think I got it now. Let me see if this works. All right, so here's the dollar. Here's the U.S. dollar on the weekly chart. As you can see here, right? Last week it ended on that high note, and already, what are we doing? We're performing or building the case for a crash alert sell signal going into next week. And at this rate, if it continues, it is threatening to possibly drop below trend line support. Even though we're in the Kumo cloud, this thing could fall out of the cloud easily. It's not like we're at the higher end of the Kumo cloud resistance. We're down here. We're in the 92 handle. 92, 93 handle. We're not in 97. We're at 90, 93. So the last crash alert sell signal we got on the weekly was the week of April the 9th. And you can see this incredible downside production we got. So someone could build a case and say, looks like we're topping out and we're about to roll over severely, and the dollar could be in trouble. Now, I'll say this. We have seen inflation for a long time. The government massages these reports. They don't take a look at food and energy, which is really your main staple of costs. For any family, food and energy is your highest costs. I don't care where you live. Food and energy is your number one cost. Without food, you die. Without energy, you can freeze to death in the winter and burn up in the summer. So you can't go without those two costs. Those costs are important, right? So to say, oh, there's no inflation, well, that's not true because we're seeing already supply issues, all right, since the last year lockdowns caused such a dreadful problem in the supply chain. We're seeing that breakdown in the supply chain now, where it's very difficult to get certain things. But now it's starting to spill over into food. We're now facing a food crisis situation, and that's about to spill over into water. Water is going to be the really next big thing. And I don't think people are preparing for that inevitability. I think they are ignoring it because they're just happy, to be going back to school, going back to work, whatever. And they're not thinking about the
Mm-hmm.
realities that these lockdowns have caused. They've changed the landscape. So here's my thing. My takeaway from all this is I think the 100-year cycle that I've been warning about for the past year and a half is taking effect. We're looking at the repeat of the roaring 20s. I don't think the market is going to have a healthy correction until we get to about 2030. I think the next several years is going to be a continuation of the bull market. I think equities are going to continue to go through the roof. I think the Fed is going to continue to print more money. And I think that gold and silver will remain suppressed in relative to the US dollar, to bonds, and to equities. I think that's going to be an ongoing theme for the time being because so much money has been printed and it's going to take a long time for it to filter through the economy. Now, traditionally, whenever the Fed does a stimulus, it takes approximately 18 months to filter through the entire economy. We've seen stimulus after stimulus after stimulus after stimulus after we have built into the stock market 20 years of stimulus, 20 years of non-stop stimulus. So if you take 18 months times 20 years of stimulus, we have enough stimulus in the system to keep the stock market rallying long after we are done, we're dead and gone. Everyone here listening to this show today will be dead before the market goes into a bear market, according to all the stimulus that has been pumped into this system. 20 years of stimulus. Now, the argument was made not long ago that the stimulus is not as effective and long lasting as it used to be. And that when they do stimulus now, it's pretty much eaten up within 3 weeks. If that is correct, if that data is correct, let's assume it's correct, right? So instead of 18 months, we got 3 weeks. That poses a bigger problem. And that would actually put our trajectory exactly at 2030. 2030, you guys. 2030. That is when the stimulus runs out. All the stimulus that the Fed has done up to today will expire in the market by 2030, which means that if they don't continue to do it after today, then it will run out by 2030. That's when your bull market will die. And we will go into a bear market until the Fed can print more. But here's why they won't. I think once the market falls down, the Fed won't be the thing to bring the market back up. It will be something else. And I'll leave you guys with this. The reason why I believe what I am saying. I'm working on a piece. I've been doing some research. I think they are preparing the people for a multitude of realities. The first reality, like they told you, in the end, you will own nothing, but you'll be happy. They're preparing the people for the reality of a universal basic income. They're preparing the people for a jobless economy. That's right, an economy that is jobless. The word job will take on a whole new characteristic and meaning in the future. People won't go to work like we are used to going to work. People who do work will work from home. Those that don't work will be living on the government dole, the basic universal income. You will not have enough money to own anything. So the economy will switch from an ownership economy to a leasing rental economy. Instead of people buying homes, they will be leasing, renting homes. Instead of buying cars, they'll be leasing, renting cars. Everything that you need in the course of life will be rented or leased. So you'll be paying monthly bills. Everything will become utilized. So you'll be looking at the utility of life. Life will become one big utility bill. You won't own anything. You will own everything. All right. It is what it is. Okay. It's sad, but it is our reality, ladies and gentlemen. And because of that, I believe that we're going to come into a time here also shortly where we're going to see escalation of the race, a new race, instead of the Cold War race or whatever. It's going to be a different race, not the nuclear arms race, but the natural resources race. Water is going to be the new gold, the new oil, because you can live without gold. You can even live without oil, but you cannot live without water. That's one thing that all living things need is water. Without water, you will surely die because you need water. You can have all the food in the world and still die because you don't have water. You can't live without water. It's a fact of life. And that is going to be what is in trouble right now. There are a million reasons why. One of the reasons why is going to be an infrastructure issue because the U.S. infrastructure is so old and outdated, and those infrastructures are beginning to break down. We've seen the first alarm bells in Flint, Michigan, with all the lead in the water. You guys have seen the videos when people take cigarette lighters and light it near their running faucet, and the thing explodes because there's so much, gas and oil and fuel in the water. We've had water issues for a long time. And it's not because America's a third world country. No, America's the richest country, or was the richest country in the world. It's not anymore, but when it was, they didn't care about maintaining infrastructure and making sure that the water systems that were clean and free of debris and poisons and fluoride. No, 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 the opposite. All right, so they've allowed these issues to deteriorate, and it's going to come home to roost and cost people. So even though we live in a world that has oceans, people are going to be dying from thirst because they can't get potable, clean drinking water. You would think that that shouldn't exist, but it does exist. All the money that exists in the world, and no one is willing to make sure that everyone has clean, potable drinking water. It shouldn't even be an issue in 2021 going into 2022. But we still have countries and places where they don't have indoor plumbing, they don't have potable water, they don't have clean drinking water. They just don't have it. And when I say clean water, I mean water that is free of impurities, free of fluoride, free of pharmaceuticals, free of poisons. It's becoming a unicorn, something that doesn't exist. People are having now to buy and purchase water from water companies, getting filtrated water and stuff delivered to their house because they can't drink the water that comes out of their tap, and they still get a bill for the water that comes out of their tap. Water that they can't even drink, water they can't even cook with, and you're still getting a water bill. Isn't that terrible? So this is where we are, folks. This is where we are. People need to wake up and come to terms with these new changing realities. And I said it a long time ago, and I'll say it again. The higher the Dow, the poorer the people become. Let that sink in. The higher the Dow, the poorer the people. And that's a reality that's happening right now as we speak.
Well, I'm going to add one more point is that, people need to exercise common sense and also invest into commodities and resources so that
Yes.
at least they can protect themselves. Okay. So that's, I mean, I'm not going to elaborate on, but it's just people need to realize it, that's the game is going on right now.
Yes. It's sad, but it is true. And the sooner people deal with it and embrace it, I think the better off we will be. But that's where I think the attention should be is that drinking water, getting people clean, pure drinking water. Everyone on the planet should have that. Um, the cost will be minimal compared to how we spend money on other things. The final chart I'm going to show you is Bitcoin on the weekly. It's the futures. You can see where we've entered into the zone. I warned you the 50 to 55,000 zone. We're not far away from that 55, which is the top of the zone. I think that's when we start seeing Bitcoin running into a little bit of trouble and having the possibility of another pullback. All right. It's a crossroads. I'm not saying it's going to start falling here. I'm just saying you're in that zone where it has the highest potential to start to pull back, especially if we break out of the zone from May 21st that I showed you last week. We're still in it, but if we break out of it, then this is the next zone here, and that's that key resistance zone where we fall back. All right, it's a very strong possibility the market falls back here. So just want to throw that out there at you guys. Okay, it's been a nice rally from here. You see the rally alert buy signal we had from this low. It's been incredible in the weekly, but like all things, some things are not meant to last forever. So you should be popping your way through this trade. Do not give all this back. All these gains you should not be giving back. You should be popping your way through it, locking in your profits, locking in your Satoshis. That's all I got. If you guys want to add something.
I'm good on the night.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to getting back to my morning shows. Lord willing, maybe sometime next week. We'll see. A lot going on this week, so probably not gonna happen this week. But next week is a strong possibility. All right. With that being said, you guys know what to do, man. Smash that like button, and remember, bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And I'm out. Smash that like button. Thank you, William. Thank you, Cramerica. I really appreciate you guys.
Good night.
And we're out. Peace.
Yeah, have a good night, everyone.